back the veil, and this is just something that God's been just showing me, helping me in my personal development time of just meditating and asking myself, how can I improve? Because, my motto is educating, elevating, and empowering people to break through any barrier that would hinder them. And I do that by empowering them to break to the best version, or at least a better version of themselves. Because, of course, I aspire to inspire breakthroughs even after I've expired. So these are some thoughts just as I was meditating. And just for a few moments, let's think about this topic: serving or sabotaging. Is it serving or sabotaging? Obviously, God's called us to be of service. And by the way, in the Greek, literally, the word sales is the same word we get our word service from. So when we talk about sales, basically in the Greek, that's service, right? So is it serving or is it sabotaging? Now, when we say sabotaging, that means it's something that is setting us up for a fall. It's setting us up for not to be our best. It's setting things up to come back and bite us, right? And so the things that we do today, the things that we are meditating on, the things that is it self-serving, or is it serving, or sabotaging? And this is just a thought I had, and I started thinking and meditating. So, for instance, angry outbursts. Is that serving or is that sabotaging? Now, one of the things I love about when they talk about Pastor Kenny about, again, living a principled life, right? Based on principles. Because, again, my friend, when you have angry outbursts, and for us men, especially those of us who are very passionate and those of us who are outgoing, it can be very easy. And then, again, the easy thing is to say, oh, well, that's just the way I am sometimes. And it's like, no, I had thinking through that, meditating. I was like, no. As I told you the other day, I put a thing up about the elimination diet and about eliminating, anger and fear and doubt and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, no, that needs to be totally encapsulated in control. Because, again, angry outbursts, do they serve or do they sabotage? Is it setting things up for failure, or is it being of service? And when you think about it that way, it's like, and some of these things are, again, specifically God's dealing with me and a few others that, I don't want to be all about me, right? but I want you to see the process that I go through, some things, and I just wanted to pull back the veil. Maybe this will be a help to you. And I know it's helping me and challenging me, because, again, I was meditating Proverbs 1:23, turn you at my reproof. Now, in other words, I'm going to reprove you. I'm going to have to speak to you. I'm going to have to challenge you. I'm going to have to, so turn. So in other words, I've got to be committed to turning at the reproof. He says, turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will make known my words unto you. I will pour out my spirit unto you. So, yes, I want him to make known his words. I want his spirit. So I've got to learn to turn at his reproof. And so angry outbursts, as I meditate on that for a minute, I'm like, well, I might feel in the moment like that was the thing to do, but it's not serving. It's not serving the person, not serving me. As a matter of fact, it's sabotaging. It's setting up a failure situation. So if that's the case, should I hold on to it or should I let it go? And I think you can figure out the answer. The answer is let's let it go. See, this is what we call personal development. This is what we call personal growth. This is what Jim Rohn was making reference to when he said, a formal education will make you a living, but personal education and personal development will make you a fortune. So serving or sabotaging? What about emotional decisions? Is that serving or is that sabotaging? Again, can we mute out? Somebody needs to be muted out if you don't mind, please. What about serving or sabotaging? What about being proud or egotistical? Is it serving or is it sabotaging? Is it being of service, or is it something that comes back to bite you? And if you think about it, in the moment, being egotistical in the moment, that might give you a sense of whatever, but it definitely is not serving. It's under the category of sabotaging. So when I think about this, do I want to hold on to something that's sabotaging my success? Do I want to hold on to something that's hindering me from being my best? Do I want to hold on to something that's going to potentially come back and steal or rob or pull from blessings that I have? Now, things that are serving will take the blessings further. Things that are sabotaging will pull away. What about now? This is me. Sometimes this is a true confession. Being like a bull in a china shop, right? Just my wife sometimes has to remind me about being too aggressive, right? We need some aggression, right? And I'm an alpha type male, so right, that comes with the territory. Type A driven personality, right? That comes with territory, but it's got to be under control because again, to be too aggressive, to be like a bull in a china shop, that can't be serving. It's sabotaging. It's sometimes people get broken, people get stamped on, people get their feelings hurt when it's uncalled for. Being too aggressive, is it serving or is it sabotaging? Well, if it goes in the category of sabotaging, in my time of meditation, it's like, no, that's something that needs not to be partaken of. What about this kind of attitude? My way or the highway, right? My way or the highway. Is that something that's serving? Does that serve? Does that minister to people? Does that minister? Or is it sabotaging? Is it setting up for future failure? It's setting up to come back later and bite you. Well, doesn't take long to think about that, right? Hey, what about always having to be right? Always having to be right, and just is that really serving, or is that sabotaging? Is that coming back to bite you? What about always correcting everybody? Right? Sometimes it gets so easy to be straining at the specks that other people have and to lose sight of the beam in our own eyes, right? Somebody said there's so much bad in the best of us and so much good in the worst of us that it hardly behooves any of us to talk about the rest of us. Somebody said, don't try to make others do and be what you want them to do and be, seeing you can't make yourself do and be what you know you ought to do and be. So is it serving or sabotaging? What about win for me and lose for others? Would that be serving or would that be sabotaging? Now somebody might think, okay, well, no, I get to win up front. No, but you get to lose in the long run, because who wants to do business with somebody, who wants to be and connected to somebody, who wants to be aligned with somebody that always makes the situation where they come out winning and you come out losing? So is it serving or is it sabotaging? If it's serving, we want to kick it up a notch. We want to hold on to it. If it's sabotaging, we want to get rid of it ASAP, at least downplay it as much as possible. So again, this is just in my time of meditation. I think about stuff like this, and I just go through this process, and I meditate on it, and it becomes part of what I pray about, that God helps me. What about this? Having to have the last word, right? Now this one I'm thankful I got victory over, but I remember a time in my life when I was, boy, it was like I was gonna get the last word, right? It's like it didn't matter. Okay, you say so, okay, I'll come back. And you say, I come back. And I see on social media people like that, and it's like, man, are you? And it's like, I'm so glad that God opened up my eyes to that. But again, all you got to do is think to yourself: is it serving or is it sabotaging? Is it setting something up for success? Is it being a blessing? Is it being a help? Or is it going to hurt is going to nip and cut off the blessings that are flowing my way. You know, what about this one? Being unapproachable. Being unapproachable. In other words, like making people fear you, so they only tell you what you need to hear. Or they only tell you what they think you will hear. So being unapproachable, sometimes, especially as leaders, you got to be careful about this, especially if you're a strong leader. But if you're not careful and give off the approach, give off the air of being unapproachable, where people really won't trust. They literally, years ago, I mean, somebody I really respected and admired, and he was unapproachable, and to me I thought that was pretty cool. Like man, it's like everybody, we all feared and lived in awe of this guy, and years later to find out that wasn't very serving at all. As a matter of fact, it sabotaged him big time and us as well. And not long ago, I was meeting with somebody, and they were like, yeah, man, I remember you back in your 20s and 30s, man. I was like so afraid of you. I was like, are you serious? What are you talking about? And without even realizing it, to some degree, I'd adopted some of that, and I had to go through and come and say, okay, what is it? What was it? I said, no, you've changed now. I mean, but back then, oh my goodness. And so I'm like, okay, so is there any residue of that left? Because again, being an unapproachable type person, is that being of service, or is that sabotaging? I mean, Jesus, here it was. I mean, if anybody would have been elevated, if anybody would have, no. He was like, you know what? I'm going to be among the down and outers. I'm not going to need to be protected from these people. I'm not going to be putting up in this ivory tower while they're suffering. No, I'm going to feel the feelings of their infirmities. So is it serving, or is it sabotaging? What about uncontrolled strength? Uncontrolled strength. Now this is a rough one here. See, a strength out of control becomes a weakness. Somebody said meekness is simply strength under control. In other words, if you have a strength, you don't always have to flex those muscles. You don't always, as a matter of fact, you still need to, even our strengths need to be principle driven and governed. Why? Because a strength that's going out of control literally becomes a weakness. So is it serving, or is it sabotaging? Is it something that's going to be of help, or is it something that's not? If it's not, then let's get rid of it. Hey, what about this one? What about convincing people against their will? Right? Convincing people against their will. You all heard the story about the little boy, and he was just, his mind was made up, and they said, sit down, boy, and made the boy sit down. He said, I'm sitting, but on the inside, I'm still standing up, right? but I was in a conversation with somebody yesterday, and actually in the day before, two different situations, and they showed, it was like really wanting to convince me of a certain thing, and I let them know up front I'm not open to that situation, but they continued on. And then I had to say, okay, am I like that in some areas? Is there some ways that, because again, that does, I can see when it's coming from somebody else that is not serving, but if it's coming from, so is it serving or is it sabotaging? If it's serving, I need to up it up, but if it's not, if it's sabotaging, then no, we need to let that go. See, all you got to do is ask the question, is it serving or is it sabotaging? What about trying to please others all the time, right? Just trying to please others, especially a lot of times mothers and some women, and especially mothers, can have this, just trying to please people all the time. Now, you got to understand, self-care is not selfish, especially when done to be your best for yourself and others. See, trying to please people all the time, is that really serving, or is that self-sabotaging? Is that, as a matter of fact, a lot of the internalizing of situations is because people are trying to please people, so they're holding this stuff in, and the stuff that you're holding in is working against you. So self-care is not selfish. as again, especially my friend, you've got to be your best. You can't be of service to me if you don't take good care of you, and I can't be of good service to you if I don't take care of me. So in order for us to take care of each other, we both have to take care of ourselves. Somebody say that's good right there. So is it serving or is it sabotaging? All right, my time's running out. Give you two more and I'll be done. Just quick. Eating whatever you want, whenever you want, right? Is that serving or is it sabotaging? So somebody said, somebody said that. I was thinking about this, and that is something that's good to you does not always mean it's good for you. Say it again. Something that's good to you does not always mean it's good for you. See, you take a little child and they would just eat candy all the time, right? Why? Because candy is good to them. But though candy is good, tastes good to them. But although it tastes good to them, it's not good for them. So eating whatever you want, whenever you want, is that serving or is that sabotaging? See, somebody said we've got one body to live in, and once that's gone, it's gone. We've got one body, and by the way, you are not a body; you are a spirit inhabiting a body. So watch this, my friend. So this body is the vehicle that you get around in, and wouldn't it behoove you? Would it serve you to take better care of the body, the vehicle that you get around in, as opposed to letting it break down? And then lastly, so is it serving or is it sabotaging? And that is learning just to show versus learning to grow. Learning just to show, just to be able to show, oh, look, I know this and I know this and I can totally promulgate my esoteric conjugation. Okay, learning to show versus learning to grow. Now, if you're just going to learn something just to be able to show off what you have, is that serving or is that sabotaging? Because the true essence of learning should be learning so we can grow, learning so we could be more, learning so, again, we could be a better version of ourselves, learning so eventually we could be the best version of ourselves. So I just thought this morning I would just pull back the veil and let you be part of my thought process of what I do when I meditate, when I think, and so again, oftentimes I'll just take something like this and think upon it, and then you see how it breeds thoughts, and then there's things, okay, so I see some things, okay, I got to work on, and other things, okay, I got it good. So serving versus sabotage.